When detectives arrived at the scene, they never expected the story to unravel into a forbidden affair that destroyed an entire family. The body of a 48-year-old woman lay cold in her bed, stabbed more than 70 times. Her teenage daughter sat quietly in the corner, refusing to speak. And the woman's partner, once trusted, once loved, was nowhere to be found. What began as a quiet suburban life ended in bloodshed, betrayal, and a secret that no one saw coming. Was this a crime of passion or something far more disturbing? Before we go deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. A story that began with love, but ended with murder. A story that asks us to question, how well do we really know the people we let into our homes? And what happens when love crosses a line that should never be crossed? As you listen, ask yourself, what would you do if someone you trusted betrayed you in the most unimaginable way? What if the person you loved was hiding a secret that could destroy everything? Stay with us, because what you're about to hear will challenge everything you thought you knew about love, loyalty, and the limits of forgiveness. Rachel Monroe was the kind of woman people trusted instantly. At 48, she had built a quiet life in the suburbs of Humble, Texas, a modest home, a steady job at the local library, and 2 children she adored. Her daughter Emily, 19, had just started community college, majoring in psychology. Her son, Scott, was older, already living on his own. Rachel's life wasn't glamorous, but it was stable, predictable, safe. Melissa Carter entered that world like a gust of wind. She was bold, charming, and unapologetically herself. A few years younger than Rachel, she worked as a fitness instructor and had a magnetic energy that drew people in. They met at a charity event for the local animal shelter. Rachel had been volunteering, Melissa had come to donate. Their connection was instant. Within months, Melissa moved in. At first, everything felt like a fresh start. Rachel laughed more. Emily, though reserved, seemed to accept Melissa's presence. They had dinner together most nights. Spaghetti, grilled chicken, sometimes takeout from the Thai place down the street. Melissa would tease Rachel about her obsession with crossword puzzles, and Rachel would roll her eyes, smiling. It felt like a family. But beneath the surface, things weren't perfect. Emily had always been close to her mother, and Melissa's arrival shifted that dynamic. She started spending more time in her room, headphones on, door closed. Rachel noticed, but chalked it up to teenage mood swings. She's just adjusting, she told herself. One night, Rachel overheard a conversation between Melissa and Emily in the kitchen. It was quiet, almost too quiet. Melissa's voice was low, almost tender. Emily giggled. Rachel paused at the top of the stairs, listening. Then Melissa said, "You're not like other girls, you know that?" Emily didn't respond, but Rachel felt something tighten in her chest. The neighborhood was quiet, mostly families and retirees. People waved from their porches, kids rode bikes in the cul-de-sac, but even in a place like Humble, gossip traveled fast. A neighbor once mentioned seeing Melissa and Emily at the park, just the 2 of them. They looked close, she said, like sisters, or something else. Rachel brushed it off. She trusted Melissa, she loved her, and Emily was her daughter. Surely she was imagining things. But the tension grew. Melissa started staying out late. Emily's grades slipped. Rachel found herself alone at the dinner table more often. She tried to talk to Emily, but the girl would shrug and say, "I'm fine, Mom, just tired." Melissa, too, seemed distant. When Rachel asked if everything was okay, Melissa would smile and say, "Of course, just work stress." Still, Rachel couldn't shake the feeling that something was changing. Something she couldn't name. Something she didn't want to believe. And then came the night Rachel found a text message on Melissa's phone. It was from Emily. It read, "I missed last night. Can we talk?" Rachel stared at the screen, her hands trembling. She didn't know what it meant. She didn't want to know. But deep down, she did. Rachel couldn't sleep that night. The message she saw on Melissa's phone kept replaying in her mind. "I missed last night. Can we talk?" It was short, innocent maybe, but it didn't feel innocent, not coming from Emily, not sent to Melissa. She didn't confront Melissa right away. Instead, she watched. She listened. She noticed things she hadn't before. Melissa's phone was always face down. She'd leave the room to take calls, whispering behind closed doors. Emily, once quiet and withdrawn, now seemed different. She smiled more. She wore makeup. She laughed at Melissa's jokes in a way that made Rachel's stomach turn. One afternoon, Rachel came home early from work. Melissa wasn't there. Emily was in the living room, curled up on the couch, watching a movie. Rachel sat beside her, trying to act normal. "You doing okay?" she asked. Emily nodded. "Yeah, just relaxing." Rachel hesitated. "You and Melissa, you seem close lately." Emily's eyes flickered. "She's cool. I like talking to her." Rachel forced a smile. "That's good." But inside, her heart was pounding. Later that week, Rachel checked the phone bill. Melissa had exchanged over 300 texts with Emily in the past month, most of them late at night. She felt sick. She wanted to scream, but she didn't. She needed to be sure. She started keeping a journal. Every odd moment, every strange interaction. She wrote it down. Tuesday, Melissa and Emily left together, said they were going to Target. Came back 3 hours later with nothing. Thursday, Melissa's shirt smelled like Emily's perfume. Saturday, heard laughter from Emily's room. Melissa came out adjusting her hair. Rachel wasn't the only one who noticed. Her neighbor, Denise, mentioned something casually over coffee. "I saw Melissa and Emily at the diner last week, just the two of them. Looked cozy." Rachel's hand trembled as she stirred her drink. "Cozy how?" Denise shrugged. "I don't know, just close." At work, Rachel confided in her friend Carla. "I think something's going on," she whispered, "between Melissa and Emily." Carla's eyes widened. "You mean, like that?" Rachel nodded slowly. "I don't want to believe it, but I can't ignore it anymore." Carla leaned in. "You need to talk to them before it gets worse." But Rachel didn't know how. How do you ask your partner if she's sleeping with your daughter? The tension in the house grew unbearable. Melissa became defensive. Emily became secretive. Dinner conversations turned into silence. Rachel felt like a stranger in her own home. One night she finally confronted Melissa. "I saw the texts," she said quietly. Melissa froze. "What texts?" "From Emily, on your phone." Melissa's face hardened. "You went through my phone?" Rachel nodded. "I had to. I needed to know." Melissa looked away. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is." Melissa didn't answer. Rachel's voice cracked. "Are you sleeping with my daughter?" Melissa's eyes filled with tears. "Rachel, just tell me the truth," Melissa whispered. "It started with talking. She was lonely. I was trying to help." Rachel's knees buckled. "Help? You think this is helping?" Melissa reached out, but Rachel pulled away. "Don't touch me." Emily walked in at that moment. She saw Rachel crying. She saw Melissa standing there, silent. "What's going on?" she asked. Rachel turned to her. "How long?" Emily's face went pale. "Mom, how long have you been sleeping with her?" Emily didn't answer. Rachel screamed. "How long?" Emily whispered. "Since last summer." Rachel collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. "You were 17. Melissa tried to speak. "I didn't mean for it to happen." Rachel looked up, her eyes burning. "You ruined everything." The next few days were chaos. Rachel kicked Melissa out. Emily refused to speak to her mother. The house felt haunted by betrayal, by silence, by the echo of things that could never be unsaid. But the story didn't end there. Because when investigators dug deeper, they discovered something no parent ever wants to hear. Melissa hadn't just seduced Emily. She had manipulated her. She had isolated her. She had convinced her that Rachel was the enemy. And when Rachel threatened to go to the police, Melissa panicked. She told Emily, "If your mom talks, we'll both go to jail." Emily was terrified, confused, in love, or what she thought was love. And then, one night, Rachel was found dead, stabbed, 73 times. Emily was in the house. Melissa was gone. Neighbors said they heard screaming. One said she saw Melissa's car speeding away. Another said Emily was seen crying on the porch. But no one knew the full truth. Not yet. The morning after Rachel's murder, the entire neighborhood was in shock. Police tape wrapped around the Monroe home like a warning no one wanted to believe. News vans parked outside. Reporters whispered theories. But inside the station, detectives were already piecing together the fragments of a story that didn't make sense. Emily was brought in for questioning. She sat quietly, her hands folded, her eyes vacant. When asked what happened, she said she didn't know. She claimed she had been asleep. But her timeline didn't match. Her fingerprints were on the knife. Her DNA was under Rachel's fingernails. Melissa was still missing. Detectives pulled phone records, emails, social media messages. What they found painted a disturbing picture. Melissa and Emily had been in a relationship for nearly a year. It started with late-night talks, then secret meetings, photos of them kissing, messages like, "I wish we could run away together and she'll never understand us." Emily had told Melissa she felt trapped, that her mother was controlling, that she wanted out. Melissa responded, "Then we'll make our own way. Just us." The manipulation was clear. Melissa had isolated Emily from her friends, convinced her that Rachel was the enemy. She told her, "If your mom finds out, she'll send me to jail. She'll ruin everything." Emily, just 19, believed her. When detectives finally located Melissa, she was hiding in a motel 2 towns over. She claimed she had fled out of fear, that she didn't know Rachel was dead. But her story unraveled quickly. In her interrogation, Melissa said, "I loved Emily. I never meant for any of this to happen." The detective leaned forward. "Did you kill Rachel?" Melissa shook her head. "No, I swear." "Did you tell Emily to do it?" Melissa paused. I told her we couldn't be together if her mom kept interfering." "Did you say she needed to be gone?" Melissa whispered. "I didn't mean it like that." Emily's second interview was different. She cried. She shook. She said Melissa had told her, "If you love me, you'll protect us." She said she didn't plan to kill her mother, that it just happened, that she snapped. "I went into her room," Emily said. "She was sleeping. I just wanted to scare her, but then she woke up. She screamed. I panicked." The detective asked, "Why 73 times?" Emily sobbed. "I don't know. I couldn't stop." Melissa was brought in to face Emily. They sat across from each other, separated by glass. Emily looked at her and said, "You told me it was the only way." Melissa cried. "I didn't mean for this." Emily whispered, "You ruined me." The confession was complete. But even as she admitted to the murder, investigators felt she wasn't telling them everything. There were gaps, moments that didn't add up. A neighbor claimed she saw Melissa's car near the house that night. Another said she heard 2 voices arguing before the screams, but Melissa denied being there. Still, the evidence was damning. The affair, the manipulation, the emotional control, and the murder. The trial began 6 months after Rachel Monroe's murder. The courtroom was packed. Family members, reporters, curious locals. Everyone wanted answers. Everyone wanted justice. Emily Monroe, now 20, sat at the defense table, her face pale, her hands trembling. Melissa Carter, her former lover and alleged manipulator, sat behind her, awaiting her own hearing. Though she hadn't physically committed the murder, prosecutors believed she had orchestrated it. The prosecution painted a chilling picture, a forbidden affair, emotional manipulation, and a vulnerable teenager pushed to commit an unthinkable act. They presented text messages, emails, and witness statements. They showed how Melissa had isolated Emily, convinced her that Rachel was the enemy, and planted the idea that life would be better without her. One message read, "If she's gone, we can finally be free." Another, "You said you'd do anything for me. Did you mean it?" The jury gasped. Rachel's sister, Linda, broke down in tears. "She was a good person," she sobbed. "She didn't deserve this." The defense argued that Emily was mentally unstable, that she had acted alone, that Melissa never intended for Rachel to die. They brought in psychologists who testified that Emily suffered from dissociation, emotional trauma, and identity confusion. One expert said, "She was a child in love, manipulated by someone who knew exactly how to control her." But the prosecution pushed back. "She may have been young," the lead attorney said, "but she knew what she was doing, and Melissa Carter knew exactly how to make her do it." The most emotional moment came when Emily took the stand. Her voice shook. Her eyes filled with tears. "She told me we'd be together forever," she said. "She said my mom hated me, that she'd never accept us. I didn't want to kill her, I just wanted her to stop hurting us." The courtroom was silent. Then she added, "I loved her. I thought she loved me, but now I think she just used me." Melissa refused to testify. Her lawyer said she was too emotionally fragile, but her silence spoke volumes. Outside the courthouse, the media swarmed. Headlines read, "Teen love turns deadly. Forbidden affair ends in murder. Mother betrayed by her own daughter." Talk shows debated the morality of the case. Was Melissa a predator? Was Emily a victim? Was Rachel's death preventable? The community of Humble, Texas was shaken. Parents questioned their own homes. Teachers looked closer at their students. The case became a symbol, not just of betrayal, but of how easily trust can be broken. During sentencing, the judge addressed Emily directly. "You were manipulated," he said, "but you made a choice, a tragic, irreversible choice." He sentenced her to 25 years in prison, with eligibility for parole after 15. Melissa was charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor, emotional abuse, and obstruction of justice. She received 12 years. Rachel's family felt the verdict was bittersweet. Justice had been served, but the wound remained. Her son, Scott, spoke outside the courthouse. "My mom was the strongest person I knew. She didn't deserve this, and I'll never forgive Melissa for what she did to our family." The emotional fallout was immense. Emily's friends were stunned. Her former teachers described her as bright, kind, and full of potential. But now, she was just another inmate. Melissa's reputation was destroyed. Her gym closed. Her clients left. Her name became synonymous with betrayal. And Rachel? She was buried in a quiet ceremony, surrounded by those who loved her. Her grave reads, "Beloved mother, taken too soon." But even now, years later, people still ask, how did it happen? How did a family fall apart so completely? Years have passed since the murder of Rachel Monroe. The headlines have faded. The courtroom has emptied. But the scars remain, etched into the lives of those who knew her, loved her, and lost her. Emily Monroe is now 25. She spends her days in a correctional facility in Gatesville, Texas. She rarely speaks to anyone. Her letters to her brother Scott go unanswered. Her cell is quiet, her future uncertain. Some say she's remorseful. Others say she still believes Melissa loved her. But no one really knows what goes on behind those prison walls. Melissa Carter was released early on parole after serving 9 years. She lives under a different name now, in a different state. She's never spoken publicly about the case. She's never apologized to Rachel's family. Some believe she manipulated the system, just as she manipulated Emily. Others say she was punished enough. But the debate continues. Rachel's grave remains untouched, except for the occasional visit from her sister Linda. She brings fresh flowers. She whispers stories. She cries. "She deserved better," Linda once said. "She gave everything to her family, and they took it all away." The community of Humble, Texas still remembers. The house where it happened was sold, then abandoned. Neighbors say they hear things at night, footsteps, whispers, the sound of a woman crying. Whether it's memory or imagination, no one knows. But the tragedy left a mark that won't fade, and the questions remain. Was this tragedy the result of forbidden passion, or was it inevitable from the moment betrayal entered the home? Did Melissa truly love Emily, or was she using her from the start? Could Rachel have stopped it if she had acted sooner? And what does it say about the fragility of trust, the danger of silence, and the cost of love when it's twisted into something unrecognizable? Some questions can never be answered, but the echoes of this crime still haunt everyone who remembers it. Before you go, we want to hear from you. What do you think truly drove this crime? Was it love, manipulation, desperation, or something else entirely? Let us know in the comments how this story made you feel. What would you have done if you were in Rachel's shoes, or Emily's, or even Melissa's? And if you're new here, don't forget to click the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. We tell the stories that others won't, the ones that make you think, the ones that make you feel. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and remember, sometimes the most dangerous secrets are the ones kept closest to home.